Hey everyone out there, and I am so excited to talk to you today. We're going to talk about building a business that can create residual income for you and my top tips. Let's just say that I've kind of been born into the small business mindset. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. They owned businesses my entire life growing up, from real estate to delivery companies, lots of different things. So right from the get-go, I really understood and grasped the idea behind small business and how family-run business can do one of two things. It can run you, or you can run it. And, back in the day before there were lots of different online opportunities, there was this overall mindset that you have to hustle, that you have to do everything yourself, that you cannot outsource anything, and that you need to basically allow your business to own you in order for you to be a business owner. Luckily, we live in a time where that is no longer the case, where online is the future. Online is the answer for a lot of things, for a lot of our problems. We can just go and at this search of like a tiny little search that we can put into our computer, we can find the answer to almost anything. So we live in a wonderful time, and one of the awesome benefits about living in the times that we're in is that you literally have the opportunity to earn an online income. Now, of course, I'm talking about residual income today. This can, of course, apply to brick and mortar businesses as well. My personal experience has been, like I said before, I grew up small business owners as parents. And then at a very young age, I got started with Chalene Johnson's former company, Powder Blue Productions. So if you're familiar with Chalene Johnson, you know of her from many different fitness infomercials, and she does lots of personal development stuff now. But when I started working for her, the business was very small. I was the second full-time employee ever to be hired. And we grew the company to over 13 full-time employees strong and about 75 independent contractors that worked for us. Multi-million-dollar company, and that eventually sold to Beachbody, which is the company that I am a rep for now. So if you have that's just kind of like a rough background as to who I am and what I've done. In the last little bit more than 9 years now, what I've been able to do is create an income part-time, working from home or anywhere really, sometimes Starbucks, sometimes in line at the grocery store. But literally, if you have a phone, you can have a business. And this is, like I said before, we live in exciting times. So I've been able to do this, and technology is getting even more easy, and tools are getting even more accessible. And so what I like to do now is share the message that this is something that's not special for me. Literally anybody can do it. So within 9 years' time, we were able to pay off a couple $100,000 of debt, able to buy a house, able to put in a pool for cash. My husband and I, we work on our business part-time, approximately 10 to 15 hours a week, so that we can be full-time parents. This is all about residual income. This is the way that we can own a business without it owning you. And from a very young age, growing up in a house where I watched my parents hustle and work and strive and constantly be on call and constantly be tied to their phones, I was under the impression that that's how life was. So I swore that I'd never own a business. I swore. I said, I'm never going to own a business because that means the business owns me. But you know what? That's how it was then. Things are so different now with the availability of online and all of the people that we can reach and touch. The sky's the limit. So we have lots of training. And this is one training that I did bring to my team recently. And so I wanted to share it with all of you. Like I said, it's a 7-part video series, but I'm just going to cover part 1 today. Here's part 1 on how to create residual income so that your business doesn't own you. Residual income means you can turn off the lights, you can shut down, you can go on vacation, you can do all those things, and you continue to get a check. And no, there's nothing wrong or slimy about that, because think about it. All great musicians, if they've ever made, if they have a hit song or they have a hit CD, is it weird that they're getting paid even though they're not still working? No, it's not weird, because residual income works like this. You work your tail off in the beginning. You work your tail off. You might not see a whole lot of payout, right? But then it gets legs and it starts to grow and it starts to build, and you continue to receive income for that thing that you did, 1 to 5 years ago. That's how residual income works. So my goal is I try to teach my team, the people who come into my business, how to create a residual income, a business that will work even if you are not working, even if you're on vacation for a month, even if you decide to have a baby and take 6 months off to figure that whole thing out. All of those things. So here's step one, or here's I should say, tip number one is to set expectations. And there's 3 different aspects to set expectations for. Number one, if you're in a multi-level marketing or network marketing business, which, by the way, no, there's no stigma attached to that anymore. People used to think that it was so gross. I thought it was so gross. I was like, I will never, ever do one of those things. Seriously, I so said that. Times are changing. We don't live in a time where we have to have Tupperware parties in order to grow our business. We don't live in a time where we have social media. We have the internet. The world is at your fingertips. So here's the whole thing. You need to set expectations in 3 different areas if you plan on starting a business and you want it to grow to the point where it continues to work if you don't, right? So if you get sick or your kid gets sick, all those things. You got to set expectations. Number one, you need to set realistic expectations of what it takes to start a business. I am so happy. I am so happy that having an online business does not take what it takes to have a traditional business. Traditionally, what you'd have to do is go to the bank, get a loan for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and go and open a building, okay? So maybe rent a space or buy a space. You would have to create your products. Then you'd have to create all of the marketing behind the products. You have to create the packaging. You have to get it approved, possibly get it trademarked. You need to make sure that your products, your programs aren't going to injure anybody. You have to get insurance. You have to get insurance for the building itself. You have to employ people. So think about all of the things that it could take in order to start a brick and mortar business. Nowadays, you can go online and start a business for $40. What? I mean, it seems insane, but that's also the reason that a lot of people who do these businesses, which is the reason why people say these businesses don't work, it's because 95% of the people who start a business like this don't understand how it works. And so I'm here to help you understand that, because if this is something you're like, man, if I could just make money in my free time, like 30 minutes here, an hour there, maybe 2 hours when the kids go to bed at night, if I could just get in a little bit, give me a little edge, then I could pay off that debt. I could pay off my college. I could get ahead. Maybe we could buy a house. Maybe we could put a pool in, right? All those things that you think. And the answer is yes, you can, because we live in a time where you can start a business for $40. But the problem is you don't have this huge loan hanging over your head that's hundreds of thousands of dollars banking on you to make it. Oh, and by the way, the people who do that, only about 20% of them actually make it. Isn't that crazy? So we have the ability to do that. So I want you to set expectations about the business. This is a business, right? So if you do a home-based business, then the first thing you need to set expectations of is that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So you're not going to start a business, sign on the dotted line, become a distributor for XYZ company, and then the next day be in the Million Club. It took me 4 years to get in the Million Club. It took me, I believe, 5, maybe possibly 6 years to get in the multi-million club. And that's strictly because I was consistent. It's a marathon. Now, at the time when I started my business, I was working 60 to 70 hours per week already. So I knew that this had to be something that I could do while I was driving, had to be something that I could do while I was literally like up right before I go to bed at night or early in the morning. And I didn't think that people would want to get a phone call from me at 10 p.m. or 6 a.m. or, possibly, it had all these restrictions, right? It needed to be on my time when I had free time or on my lunch break. So I kept in mind, okay, if I carve out 10 hours per week, then I can make this work. And that's what I did. And that's still what I do. I still work 10 hours a week at this business. But we've been able to take our income from, like $50 a week when it first started, all the way up into what we have now. Full-time income, working completely part-time hours. My husband and I, 100%. So a lot of people go, what does your husband do? I'm like, well, he does what I do. We just work on the business. And people, that sounds hard to believe, but not if you've been doing something for 9 years. So within 2 to 5 years of being consistent, you should experience a lot of financial benefit and payoff if you are consistent. Where people fail is that they do this. They go in and out. Like they'll go for it for 2 weeks and then they'll slack for 6 months. And that's why we get this whole stigma that these businesses don't work. It's because we don't actually just stay in. Just stay in. That's it. Can you imagine if you told your significant other, like, yes, I'm going to be married to you for the rest of my life, but I'm only going to talk to you on the first Monday of the month. And then I'm going to like disappear for, I don't know, like a month, or maybe sometimes it'll be 2 weeks, or sometimes it'll be 6 months. Like, no, you can't do that. You have to be consistent. The things that matter in your life, you need to stay consistent with. Okay. And then think about it like this too. When a business like this is a one-on-one business, it's a relationship business. So this needs to be personal, but you can't take it personal. And we'll get to that part in just a second. The last thing is, if you go think about yourself like starting any type of career, right? Most people believe that they have to go to college, they need to get a college education, they have to get a degree, and then they could go out into the marketplace and maybe get a job in that field. Oh, and by the way, at that time too, you're also racking up all of this debt, student loans, all of that stuff, and all of that time that it takes for you to learn everything that you need to learn, read all the books you need to read, take all those courses, all of that stuff. There's a huge investment when you go and get a degree, is there not? So it's ridiculous for people to think that they can start a business, which of course, like I said, you can do one for $40. That's how much it costs to join the business that I'm in. $40. But you could do that, but is that going to help you be successful? Not if you just pay the $40 and then you just expect it to do that. Like, you have to put time into it. It would be like you signing up for college and never showing up, never doing any of the work, right? So there is an investment. There's an investment in you. You need to invest in personal development. You need to invest in business development. That doesn't go along with your $40 initiation fee. Those are the things that the person that brings you into the business will help you understand, like, okay, how do I invest in this business so that, number one, of course, it's not a lot of money, but you're going to grow yourself as a person. And at the same time, you're going to get a phenomenal education, which, by the way, for my team, we offer, like, I have so much free training. It is redonky. It is totally redonkulous. So much free training. And that's available to anybody in my, on my team. And that's because if people take the time to do it, they could probably get like a bachelor's degree every single year, but it's all free. So the choice is yours. That's the number one expectation to set for yourself. The second expectation you need to set for yourself is you. What does that mean? Like, the expectations that you should have of yourself. You should have of yourself to not quit. You should have of yourself that you need to be a long-term thinker. You need to be thinking long-term. You need to be thinking past the next paycheck. You need to be thinking, okay, who do I need to become in order to be this awesome business owner that can earn a residual income? Okay? So thinking about those things, think about what do you have on your plate right now that you don't really need, that isn't really helping your relationships. It's not really helping you as a business person. It's not helping you as a person. What do you have on your plate right now that you could potentially give up? I'm not saying indefinitely. I'm not saying for sure, forever. I'm saying for now. What What could you possibly give up or cut back on for the next 2 to 5 years in order for you to move yourself to the next level? So you need to set expectations for yourself, because right now, if you're already thinking, well, I'm already so busy. Well, you know what? I thought the same thing. Working 60, 70 hours a week. What I had to do at that point, because I was in so much debt when I started this business, was I had to eliminate anything that didn't also bring in a paycheck. Okay. So that's kind of what I did. And well, of course I didn't eliminate my most precious and valuable relationships. And to be quite honest with you, when I told other people what I was doing, lots of people didn't understand, like, why I didn't want to go out drinking in the middle of the day on a Saturday, because I was working my business. I was working on things, right? So there's lots of different expectations, but the number one that you need to set for yourself is that it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be a quick fix. You need to know that this is a long-term game. Secondly, you need to know what your cost is, but what your benefits are. Okay? So what are the benefits that you're going after? And what is that going to cost you? Of course, it's going to cost you time. Of course, it's going to cost you some energy. Of course, it's going to cost you some, oh, this feels really strange, like hearing no. Of course, that might feel weird to your ego or to your gut, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're going to hear no. You know that there's something greater for you. And I want to help you get there. So what do you need to give up? Not forever, but for now. What can you give up? Not forever, but for now, in order to move you toward that benefit, toward that life that you want to achieve? That's the second expectation, is you. Also know that not everybody's going to jump. And this is another huge mistake that people in home-based businesses make, is that they think that they're just going to talk to the first like 5 or 10 people that are nearest and dearest to them. And then like the first couple people say no, and they freak out and they drop it and they don't go back because they're worried. But you know what? To be honest with you, my goals, my dreams, who I want to be, and the life that I want is bigger than hearing that rejection, even from some of my closest family members, some of my closest friends. It's okay. I don't care. It's okay to me. You know why? And I'm good with that, because this isn't something that's for everybody, number one. Number two, their dreams are not my dreams. My dreams are my dreams. Okay? But it's going to be worth it. Like, does anybody ever go into a marriage thinking this is going to be a breeze? No, we all know. Everybody says what? It's going to be hard. Having kids, that's going to be hard. But why do we do it? Because it's freaking worth it. We do it because it's worth it. We do it because it fills us up. It gives us joy. So why do I do this? Why do I do this? Because, in the beginning I did it because I wanted to get out of debt. Then I did it because I wanted to have this like amazing life of complete freedom where I could work whenever I wanted to. And then now it's morphed into, dude, like anybody can have this freedom and this joy and then live the life that they want to live. Anybody can do that. I want to teach that. I want to teach other people how to do that. And so that's what I'm doing now. The third expectation that you need to set, or help to set, is the expectation for others. So it is completely unfair for you. I'm going on a very strict diet starting Monday. There's going to be no sugar in my house. And I'm not going to tell anybody, right? And in the meantime, you got a toddler, you got your husband who likes his soda, and then you just go and you like purge everything out, and you don't tell them what's coming. You don't tell them what's happening. You don't prepare them. And by the way, you're a raging lunatic for the first week because you don't know how to cope yourself, but you don't tell anybody what's coming. You don't tell them what's happening because that would just be strange. No, you have to prepare people for this. And this was probably the best move that I made for my business. At the time, I was dating. We were just dating, my husband. But I did let him know. I'm like, okay, look, I have all this debt. And I want to be out of it in 2 years. And it was like an immense amount. It was at least $50,000 in credit cards, and then like a couple $100,000 on like vehicles and a house and all this other stuff. just little amount of debt. You know what I mean? So I told him, I said, I have all that, and then I want to do this business. And yes, I know I work a lot already, but I really believe I can pay off all that debt in 2 years, and we can start to like actually have a life and have a future, and I won't have to work so much. I'll be able to kind of stop working all these other little side jobs. And I painted that picture for him, and I said, okay, that means if you come over in the evenings, could you play with the dog? Because I know that she always needs like to be run for, you know, an hour at least. Do you think that you could make dinner or like pick up dinner or something like that? So that I could, as soon as I come home from work, I can get on the computer for like 30 minutes and then we can hang out for the rest of the evening. He was like, sure, I could do that. I was like, okay, could you do this if it means this for us? Sure, I could do that. And you know what? And then the weekends, I was like, look, okay, so on the weekends, I'm going to put in at least 5 hours, or not 5 hours, at least like 2 hours on Saturday and like 2 hours on Sunday, because I really need to get to at least, you know, 10 hours a week. And he was like, okay, I could do that. And it was hard sometimes. Like sometimes he's like, dude, it's so nice outside. Let's go to the beach. And I'm like, in an hour and a half. I can go in an hour and a half. But I set those expectations and I told him, look, I'm gonna do this for us. Like this is for us. And that's probably one of the smartest, the best things. And I don't know why I decided to do that, but I asked him basically like, you don't have to do the business, but please just be on my team and understand when I'm working the business, this is what I need to do. So anyways, that was the expectation. I relayed the cost, I relayed the benefit. And I also said, look, I don't think that we could go out on certain nights. And, you know, I just kind of laid it out there. And I told my friends, look, I'm building this business. So whenever somebody invited me to something, like I can't, you know, this is why, you know, I've got this vision, I've got this dream. And you know what? The people who matter are still around and in my life. I will say that. Not everybody will understand. And that's okay. Not everybody's going to understand. If they don't understand that you need to take a step back in order to make your life better, I'm just going to say this as bluntly, but as nicely as I can. If they don't understand that you are trying to do something to make you better, and they're not supportive of that, then that's okay. Maybe it's a good time for you to take a step back from them. So those are my tips for you today. This is all about setting expectations of the business, expectations for yourself, expectations for others. And that, I believe, is step one in creating a very strong foundation to creating a business that has residual income. Stay tuned for part 2.